When it comes to keeping the peace, police officers in Winston-Salem have a new option at their disposal. It's called the Taser X26 electronic control device. With it, officers can subdue an unruly subject without getting into a brawl, or worse.
Taser offers options, and what we need is a lot of options as we do our job. We already have deadly force, which is the firearm, which we thankfully do not use very much at all in the city of Winston-Salem. And we don't want to use that. But there's many circumstances where we have a lot of other force situations. We have pepper spray, we have a baton, we have very well-trained officers as far as physical techniques and hands-on techniques. But each one of those have limitations. A baton is going to bruise, if not break bones. Pepper spray, you're going to have probably a 30-minute decontamination period, plus the effects of anyone else around. The Taser offers us the opportunity to do what we need to do, get it done, and then the pain, the issues, the concerns, the medical costs, everything else are in most cases non-existent.
The Taser shoots two small wired barbs that deliver enough voltage to temporarily disable a person without causing any permanent damage.
When the probes make contact, the electricity travels down some insulated wires that are attached to those probes, and the energy goes right into the body at that point.
But it causes the muscles to contract uncontrollably, and the body will simply stiffen up. And that's what's so powerful about the weapon. Once the electrical discharge ends, the muscles go back to their normal situation, and you're immediately back to normal. There are no long-lasting effects from the electricity itself.
Every Winston-Salem police officer will receive at least 8 hours of training before they will be authorized to carry the Taser, covering both the weapon itself and policy for its use.
The Taser will be utilized on a subject that is offering some sort of active resistance if an officer is attempting to make an arrest, meaning that they're actively trying to resist being taken into custody. They've locked their arms up, they're laying on their arms. We will offer verbal commands and instructions prior to deploying the device, telling somebody, put your hands behind your back, stop resisting, we're trying to place you in custody, you're under arrest. If at that point a person does not submit to our custody, the Taser is going to be an option for officers at that level of force. The Taser is going to be utilized with a 5-second trigger pull, so when an officer pulls the trigger, it will deploy for 5 seconds. The officer has the option at that point to shut it off during that 5 seconds if they feel that they've gotten the person in custody or under control. If the device needs to continue with the full 5 seconds, it will, and it will stop. An officer can utilize more subsequent cycles after that initial deployment if they feel it's necessary to take the person into custody, and an officer is limited to 3 cycles at that point, and if they need to use more than 3 cycles, they're going to have some sort of justification for utilizing more than 3 cycles of the Taser.
To underscore his confidence in the device, Police Chief Scott Cunningham has been shot with a Taser several times. During their training, all police officers will also be tased so they know firsthand what it's like.
When I was tased, it was not a pleasant experience. It is definitely a painful experience. I was actually shot with the probes in the back, so I actually received the full penetration of the probes into my skin. My body locked up immediately, and I screamed. I was unable to control the scream. I tried to tell myself, stop screaming, and was unable to do so. But my body just really tensed up and locked up, and then some volunteers assisted me down to the floor. And then once to the floor, and when it cut off, there was no pain at all. And when they removed the probes from my body, I didn't feel any pain at all from that as well.
One of the most common questions and issues about these Taser weapons is whether they might have any cardiac effects. Our group and others have performed studies, and other studies are ongoing, looking at whether or not they might harm any implanted cardiac devices, such as pacemakers or defibrillators. And the short answer is no. They've never been shown to harm these devices.
The concerns that have been expressed across the country, we take those seriously. We do. We've looked at the research, we've looked at studies from the ACLU, from everybody that's put studies out. We have looked at those studies. There is a natural concern about any tool that the police department utilizes. But we believe that this tool offers the best opportunity for the citizens and the officers to be able to do what needs to be done with the least risk of injury to anyone. And we're going to have a very strict control policy about when it can be used, how it can be used, how many times it can be used. Just like any tool, if we see that it's not being effective, go to another tool. Taser is no different in that respect.